Ukrainian forces burst through Russian lines in major advance in south.
Here's a summary of the article.
Ukrainian forces achieved their biggest breakthrough in the south of the country since the war began, bursting through the front and advancing rapidly along the Dnipro River on Monday, threatening to encircle thousands of Russian troops. The information is tense, let's put it that way, because, yes, there were indeed breakthroughs. Vladimir Saldo, the Russian installed leader in occupied parts of Ukraine's Kherson province, told Russian state television. Dudshani is around 40 kilometers south of where the front stood just a day earlier, indicating one of the fastest advances of the war and by far the most rapid in the south, where Russian forces had been dug into heavily reinforced positions along a mainly static front line since the early weeks of the invasion. The advance in the south mirrors the tactics that have brought Kyiv major gains since the start of September in eastern Ukraine, where its forces swiftly seized territory to gain control of Russian supply lines, cutting off larger Russian forces and forcing them to retreat. Just hours after a concert on Moscow's Red Square on Friday where Russian President Vladimir Putin proclaimed the provinces of Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson and Zaporizhia to be Russian territory forever, Ukraine recaptured Lyman, the main Russian bastion in the north of Donetsk province. In the south, Ukraine's advance targets supply lines for thousands of Russian troops, perhaps as many as 25,000 on the west bank of the Dnipro, where it sent a large contingent to halt a counterattack Ukraine announced there in August. Tens of thousands of Russian men have been called up, while tens of thousands of others have fled abroad. The Russian authorities have not spelled out what the criteria are for who must be sent to fight.
This post received a score of 33,000, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Ukraine forces are now battle-hardened and being supplied by deep-pocketed friends. Russian forces are seemingly getting worse, which doesn't seem possible, but I guess when you lose that many generals and other high-ranking officers that will happen.
Greater than Russian forces are seemingly getting worse, which doesn't seem possible. The existing forces were already running out of supplies and suffering from cut-off logistics. Adding thousands of new troops only stretches those supplies even thinner. Combine that with the new troops being poorly trained and deploying onto an already broken line, and you end in a situation where more troops mainly decrease combat effectiveness across the front. Most predictions of the mobilization were that it wouldn't help the Russians, in fact it is likely to hinder them more than anything.
I still remember the conga line of vehicles heading to Kyiv having everyone worried, and Ukraine forces took care of it. It's been downhill for Russia ever since.
They were hoping to blitzkrieg the Ukrainians. When that failed, they had no fallback options.
Their fallback option was when they put up a puppet vote to claim the territory secedes and is now part of Russia, so Ukraine should stop taking it back. I don't think that's going to work as well as they'd hoped.
They keep talking about using nukes that they might not even have at this point. I for one do not appreciate Putin threatening to end all life on Earth if he can't tyrannically seize more of it.
Let's be absolutely honest here. If even 0.002% of Russia's nuclear arsenal works, which is a much worse percentage than the fail rate of their conventional weapons, it is still enough to cause significant damage to the world by possibly triggering WW3, depending on when and how the rest of the arsenal fails and how the operational nukes are used. I understand that we'd all like to think Russia's nukes are all empty shells that are long since inert, but reality is we have to assume the gun they keep leveling at the world is clean enough not to misfire, and the ammunition still works.
I live in a city with 4 military bases. I believe Russia has nukes that will work and that there is an above 50% chance of getting past American defenses. Even with that said, we can't allow the threat of them using it change our actions. We have to be willing to stand up to bullies even if it causes a black eye. And I'm fully aware in this analogy a black eye means my likely death and suffering.
Absolutely. If we behave as if he will use the nukes, he gets what he wants and still has the nukes .
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.